Welcome to Do Beautiful Things. I'm your host, Jenny Lawson, President and CEO of Keep America Beautiful. In this podcast, we'll discuss ending litter, the truth behind recycling, and making communities beautiful for people and for a more sustainable future. We'll be talking to industry experts, community leaders, and everyday people who want to do the right thing, including from time to time, my mother. Thank you for joining us. I hope you learned something, and I know I will. Welcome back to Do Beautiful Things. Today's episode is going to be a bit different. We'll dive into the world of fashion and sustainability. Did you know that an estimated 11.3 million tons of textile waste, including clothing, end up in landfills? And that's a number from 2018, according to data released by the EPA. And while the data is a few years old, the trend shows a significant increase since the 1960s, suggesting the number is likely to be even higher today. But there's good news. Like so many things, there's innovation happening. And there is a path for each of us to play our part in reducing this waste by donating and shopping sustainably. Our guest today offers an easy way to shop resale from the comfort of your home. She'll also share why her company is dedicated to easing the fashion industry's burden on the planet. So let me begin by introducing our guest, Kate Sanner. Kate is the CEO and co-founder of Beni, an online browser extension that helps you find the best deals on secondhand designer brands. Kate is here to tell us more about her company and how it all started. Hello, Kate. How are you?
Hi, Jenny. How are you doing?
Doing just great. Thanks so much for joining us today. And I'll have to start out by saying I downloaded the Beni app and I am a little hooked already. As someone who is always looking to do my part to, make sure that I'm making as light of a footprint as possible on the planet. What you are doing at Beni is a big help to those of us trying to do the right thing. So I'll start off by saying thank you, and then maybe take the journey back a little bit. How did you get hooked on the secondhand experience? When was the first time that you sort of fell in love with the secondhand, vintage, resale world?
Yeah, so first I'll say thank you for having me. I'm really excited about this conversation. I think it was so fun connecting with you a couple weeks ago and kind of realizing that we have to bring people into these conversations and kind of welcome in and make it easy to make the sustainable choice. And so really excited for this discussion. When it comes to Beni, I think for me, or just my love of secondhand, I think it really was when I was living in New York City. I moved there right after I graduated from undergrad. And you're just kind of surrounded by awesome thrift shops and vintage stores. And I think in New York especially, they're so curated that you kind of walk in and there's already this coolness factor. You're like, I get this cool, unique find, and now I'm walking down the street with this jacket that no one else has. And that was kind of awesome. But I think really why we built Beni is that for so many people, that's actually a super overwhelming experience. Or they live in a place where there's not these amazingly curated, awesome finds. And so they want to interact in a world of thrifting. They want to shop more sustainably, but they either don't have access to the physical stores based on where they live, or they just kind of look at that experience and say, oh, I never find anything good. Like I sift through all this stuff, but I just don't have the eye for it. And so we really built Beni to actually reach out to people who aren't natural thrifters, who aren't in love with secondhand right now, and make it easy for them to access this world. And I think I, in many ways, actually sit in that camp. It's like, I don't have a ton of time these days. Like everything is, we're super busy. And so even though it's fun every once in a while to go through to a thrift store, in my day-to-day, it's much easier to default to buying new. And I think where Beni comes in is saying, how do we make resale and thrifting as easy as that process is today? And if we can do that, then suddenly it becomes, something that we can scale.
I think that's really true, right? Like even just my little bit of exposure to the app, the ability to not have to search each individual store, and then find their resale shop and then go from there, to have that all be aggregated is just genius. So I'd love to learn a little bit more about your journey to creating Beni and maybe tell people a little bit more about what it is.
Absolutely. So in the fashion industry and the resale industry, we have this huge problem of supply and demand, right? There's so much inventory out there. We went out and signed partnership agreements with all the leading resale marketplaces. So Poshmark, eBay, ThredUp, The Real Real, Vestiaire Collective, and then a really long tail of ones that are more niche that have, specialize in luxury handbags or kids' clothes or menswear. And then you have on the other side, all of these people who are looking for deals and looking to find these things. And we said, why is it so hard, for supply to meet demand here? And so we decided to build a browser extension that essentially you add to your computer, to your Chrome or Safari browser. And then as you're shopping, you get to shop the way you normally do. And when you find something that you like, we will instantly scan our database of 300 million listings from all the leading resale sites and tell you if that thing that you're getting ready to buy is already listed somewhere else, typically for 50, 60% off. And I think for us, the spirit of Beni is kind of, we have to make the sustainable option the easy, convenient, accessible one if we want kind of the mainstream audience to participate in it. And so we're really focused on how do we make shopping secondhand as easy and simple as it is right now to shopping mainline and new.
Well, I started using it. I have a wedding to go to, right? It's summer. We've all got weddings to go to. And, this one has the particular nuance of being formal, but in the country. So it's a hard needle to thread. And so I just started using the Beni tool to see if it can find me a solution that doesn't push me to have to buy new, right? Which is the option here, right? Is to really help people build a more sustainable habit. So it's about recycling and composting and doing all of those things. But then there's this new option that says you don't have to buy new all the time. Sometimes there's great options, and brands are leaning into this too. And so you're actually supporting the ongoing success of their resale sites too.
Absolutely. I think brands getting into the resale game is one of the things I'm most excited about. I think what shift is starting to happen is that brands are starting to realize, wow, there's a lot of inventory of my brand that's being traded outside of my branding ecosystem. And so brands are saying, I want to know who those shoppers are. I want to know how the brand is being represented. And so it's an amazing tool to both acquire new customers at a lower price point, but also to, increase the lifetime value and loyalty to specific brands. I think one of the dreams that I have as I kind of look to the future is that we start to replace the word sale with resale. Instead of brands overproducing and then having all this excess inventory where they have to discount 60%, which if you think about kind of the amount of time and energy spent building up brand equity and trying to tell quality stories, like to then discount 60% and have flash sales, like really hurts that storytelling. If instead you allow kind of the next wave of people to experience your brand at a lower price point through resale, you suddenly start to flip the script and say, this is so well made, this is so worth your money that it actually will retain its value and can be resold again and again. And so I think as brands start to get in and as they start to see resale as a customer acquisition tool, I think there's a lot of interesting downstream effects of that are really positive for the fashion industry as a whole.
I'm the mom of 3 adults in their late 20s, early 30s, and they are all devotees of Patagonia's resale site. In fact, they're like walking advertisements because it's well made and has this long lifespan. And REI, Patagonia, and others have done a great job of promoting their resale opportunities, right? So my snowshoes came from REI's resale opportunities. And for us, it feels good to both have the quality and the brand that you want and know that you're really, maximizing the value of that exchange. So how do you build? I would think there's sort of 2 parts to what you're trying to do. One is get as many brands who have resale opportunities into the dialogue, onto your site, searchable by your database. And then the other piece is building that relationship with your audience who want to get on board. Is that how you're sort of marrying these 2 things together?
Yes. So we spent a lot of time up front going and signing partnership deals with these resale marketplaces. And that includes kind of the Poshmarks, eBays, ThredUps, Real Reals of the world, along with the brand-owned sites. So we actually work with Patagonia Wornwear. We're partnered with Treat, who powers a lot of the, Girlfriend Collective and Doen and Cuts So we're starting to get, I think right now we have a little over 80% of the total world of resale. We want to get that, as close to 100% as we can, because it just is our claim is kind of, if it's out there, we will find it for you. And so we want to have the entire world of resale in our database, but we're getting pretty close. So we're pretty good on that side. Then the real thing is, how do we get shoppers to participate? And I think one of the powerful things about Beni being a browser extension is that I think oftentimes sustainability can be kind of overwhelming for people. It can be like, okay, I have this good intention, but then I have like this 15-point checklist of things I have to do before I can act on that intention. And people get overwhelmed and then they don't act. And I think for us, Beni is so simple to use. Like, you install it one time for free. And then because we kind of tag along while you're shopping, we are that little nudge or that little reminder, and hopefully build that habit faster and stronger as you kind of realize, oh, whoa, like this, I wasn't going to do the searching, but when someone did it for me, I now am armed with this information to make the best choice for me. And what we're finding is that when we arm people with that information, the more sustainable choice often is the better choice. And people feel really good about making it because it was their intention all along. There were just all these points of friction that were kind of keeping them from doing it.
To that end, what tips do you have for people looking to shop the resale secondhand experience?
The first tip obviously is install Beni. It's free, it's easy, and we will kind of be there to guide you through the process. I think when I'm talking to people who are new to the space completely, one of the things that we often say to start with is things that don't require a perfect fit. So fit is always like a tricky thing. Resale, one of the struggles is that some sites allow you to return, others don't. And so people are hesitant to kind of take a bet on something and then not know if it's going to be perfect. So I think the tips are kind of start with things that don't require a perfect fit. There's so much amazing handbags and belts and hats, awesome outerwear, awesome flowy shirts, and things that don't have to be kind of perfectly tailored. And then the second piece is shop the brands that you know and love, because you know your size. So if you have the brand and you know you're a size 8, the resale size 8 is going to be the same. It's still going to fit you. I think if you shop the brands that you know and love, that's kind of the easiest way to know exactly what you're going to be getting. Think about categories that don't require a perfect fit. And if you have specific things in mind, shop the brands you already know and love.
Yeah, I like my fashion, and it's a struggle with my conscience sometimes. So thank you for the work that you're doing. Where do you see your work going from here in terms of the bigger impact and the opportunity you all see ahead?
Yes, when I think about the future of the fashion industry, to me, the kind of vision that I am trying to manifest is that instead of what we're doing right now, which is racing to the bottom and cheaply and quickly producing millions and millions and millions of items, that instead we start to ladder people up and start to reframe the conversation around our clothes as assets and things that you want to take care of that have and retain value. And so as you think about that, at every level, resale provides an opportunity to ladder up, to get the nicer, higher quality, better made thing at a lower cost. And as you do that, you start to create opportunity and demand for these higher quality, nicer made things to enter at the top of the market. There's amazing innovation happening right now on the next gen materials front that I think will be hugely impactful. But as everyone starts to ladder up, over time, you really reduce demand for the production of all the things at the bottom. And so it's the reframing, I think, of our clothes as assets, of things that you want to take care of things that retain value. And as you do that, and as you make resale accessible so that people can find those things easily, suddenly the entire industry starts to transform, and we don't have this overproduction of things that we don't need. We instead are making fewer things better. And I think ultimately that leads us to a better place. We have circular systems to match supply and demand, so that instead of making all this net new stuff, we just make really good stuff and then we keep it in use for as long as possible.
Kate, thanks so much. I think this idea of creating and sustaining value in the things that we consume is a really interesting part of how we how we look at markets and our buying habits as part of what it means to live more beautiful and sustainable lives. So thank you so much for joining us today, for creating Beni, and people can find that at joinbeni.com as a way to get started installing the addition to your browser and downloading the app for when you're out in the world. Kate, thank you. Thank you for all that you're doing for us, and we appreciate you joining us today for Do Beautiful Things.
Thanks so much for having me.
Kate is such an inspiration. You all can't see me on the podcast, but I am wearing a resale purchased linen jacket today that I found in my favorite boutique. So this is a topic near and dear, and it really does make me feel good about doing the right thing. And so, Kate, again, thank you very much. So here at Keep America Beautiful, we have something truly exciting on the horizon, and we want you to be a part of it. Join us in making history and contributing to the legacy of our beautiful country. For more details, you can visit kab.org. And don't forget to hit the subscription button for Do Beautiful Things, as we'll be sharing more about it in our upcoming episodes. Thanks for joining us today. And until next time, take care, stay informed, and let's keep doing beautiful things together. See you in the next episode.